They pinned the Bronze Star on my chest for surviving a Taliban ambush, but the hardest battle wasn't in Afghanistan. It was in my 7-year-old son's bedroom when he asked me one question that shattered the soldier and awakened the father I never knew I could be. If you believe true strength isn't about how many battles you win, but about having the courage to face what you've lost, hit subscribe now. I read every comment, so tell me what country you're watching from. And if you've ever had to choose between duty and love, let me know with a like. The ceremony at Fort Bragg had all the military pomp, crisp uniforms, solemn faces, the flag catching the wind. They awarded me the Bronze Star with Valor Device for heroic achievement during that November ambush. My wife Sarah held my hand, her smile tight. My son Liam, just 7, watched from the front row, fidgeting in his little suit. That night, I found him in his room, staring at my shadow box of medals. "Daddy," he whispered, "if I was in Afghanistan, would you come save me like you saved your soldiers?" The room tilted. The room tilted. That question, asked with a child's terrible honesty, hit me harder than any enemy fire. All my excuses, missed birthdays, postponed vacations, bedtime stories over staticky satellite phones, crumbled. Of course I would, Liam. "But you didn't," he said, not accusing, just stating. "My school play was last month. You said you'd come," Mommy cried after. Truth was, I'd missed the play for a training exercise that could have been rescheduled. I'd missed his first home run for a staff meeting. I'd been physically home for 3 months, but mentally I was still in Afghanistan, planning patrols, reviewing tactical scenarios, mourning men whose names my son would never know. I didn't sleep that night. For 22 years, the Army had been my identity. But my actual family had been paying the price, and I'd been too busy being a soldier to notice. Next morning, I called my VA therapist. "Doc, I think I've been treating the wrong wounds." Then I called Colonel Greer. "Sir, I need to submit my retirement papers." "You've got 10 years to full pension, Redding. You could make Bird Colonel." "I've thought it through, sir. For the first time, I'm really thinking." The transition was brutal. They teach you to clear a room, call in artillery, lead men in combat. Nobody teaches you how to be present. How to listen to your wife talk about her day without mentally planning patrol routes. How to help with 4th grade math when your mind calculates azimuths. One Tuesday, I had a panic attack in a grocery store parking lot because I couldn't remember where I'd parked. The man who navigated the Hindu Kush in zero visibility was utterly lost at a Safeway. I leaned against a cart, breathing into a paper bag as soccer moms gave me wide berth. Therapy helped. The E-group for transitioning veterans was a sad bunch. A Special Forces sergeant who could assemble an M4 blindfolded but couldn't fill out a job application. A helicopter pilot who flew through sandstorms but feared highways. An intel officer who could analyze insurgent networks but couldn't decipher his teens' texts. We learned together how to translate lead platoon in combat to managed high-performing teams under pressure. How to answer "what did you do in the war" at barbecues. How to be husbands, fathers, citizens, not just soldiers. But the real change came from Liam's 2nd grade teacher, Mrs. Alvarez. She asked me to chaperone a museum field trip. I almost said no. I had a defense contractor interview that day. But I remembered Liam's question. I'll be there. On the bus, knee to knee with excited 7-year-olds, something shifted. A girl named Chloe showed me her rock collection. A boy named Jamal asked if I'd ever seen a dinosaur. Liam kept glancing at me with something like pride. At lunch, Mrs. Alvarez sat beside me. "Mr. Redding, Liam wrote about you last week," he said. "My dad used to save soldiers. Now he saves me from bad dreams." I turned away so she wouldn't see my eyes well up. All those years wearing body armor, and it took a 2nd grade teacher's words to pierce my heart. I didn't take the defense job. Instead, I started volunteering at the VA hospital, helping newly returned veterans navigate the same transition that nearly broke me. I'd sit in sterile waiting rooms and say, "Tell me about your family," instead of "Tell me about your deployment." One day, a young Marine, maybe 22, sat rocking, leg bouncing wildly. "My daughter doesn't know me," he whispered. "She's 2. She calls me the man in the picture." "I have a son who called me the visitor," I told him. "It gets better. But only if you show up, even when it's hard." Especially then. Word spread. Other veterans called, then their spouses, then community organizations. What began as volunteering became a nonprofit homefront transition. We matched veterans with mentors who'd successfully transitioned. We offered family counseling. We taught businesses how military skills, discipline, leadership, crisis management were assets, not liabilities. Sarah became our operations manager. Liam, now 12, designed our website for a school project. Our living room, once filled with uniform displays, now held whiteboards with program plans. Last year, Liam turned 15. We hiked in Rocky Mountain National Park, just us two. At the summit, overlooking peaks and valleys, he said, "Remember that question I asked when I was little?" "How could I forget? I think I was wrong," he said, squinting in the sun. "You did save me. You just had to save yourself first. That might be the proudest moment of my life, more than any medal or promotion. The Taliban had rockets, mortars, wide. But they never had a weapon as powerful as a child's honest question. That question broke me open. Sometimes that's what we need, to be broken open, to let light in, to let the old identity fall so a new one can grow. I still have bad days. I still wake sometimes thinking I'm back there. But now I know how to return, to my wife's breathing beside me, to my son safe down the hall, to the purpose built from pieces of what I was. They say soldiers are made in basic training. I say fathers are made in quiet moments after the war ends. Heroes aren't just those who charge enemy positions. They're also those who lay down weapons, turn toward home, and learn to love without a battle plan. If you're struggling with your own transition from soldier to civilian, professional to parent, who you were to who you're becoming, know this: the bravest mission isn't the one they give you. It's the one you choose after the shouting stops. Show up. Be present. Answer the hard questions. Your battlefield looks different now, but your courage still matters. And if this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to rebuild yourself after being broken, hit that subscribe button. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what your after the battle mission is. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit that the hardest fights aren't fought with weapons, but with love, presence, and the courage to change. 2 months after starting Homefront Transition, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Major Redding?" a hesitant voice asked, using my old rank. "This is Captain James Miller. We served together in Kunar Province, 2006. It took a moment, then I remembered. Miller had been a young lieutenant then, fresh out of West Point. I'd mentored him through his first combat patrol. Now his voice sounded frayed. "Sir, I don't know who else to call. I got out 6 months ago. I'm living in my sister's basement. My wife took the kids. She says I'm not the man she married. We met at a diner off the interstate. Miller looked 10 years older than he should. His hand shook slightly as he lifted his coffee cup. They gave me a job at a defense contractor," he said. "Good money. But I sit in a cubicle all day and I just freeze. My boss asked me to do a PowerPoint presentation last week. I locked myself in the bathroom for an hour. I recognized that freeze, the body's memory of threat when there was none. What do you miss most?" I asked him. Not what's wrong, but what do you miss? He looked surprised. The purpose, I guess. Knowing exactly what I was supposed to do. Knowing who I was protecting. "You're still protecting people," I said. "Just different people. Your kids need you present more than they need another paycheck." We worked together for months. Not as therapist and patient, but as brothers in arms on a new mission. I introduced him to a construction company owner who valued vets' discipline. Miller started as a site supervisor. The first week he called me, panicking. "One of my guys didn't show up. I don't know what to do." "Did you ever have a soldier miss patrol?" "Yeah, but that's different." "It's not. People are people. Leadership is leadership." "What did you do then?" He paused. "I assigned someone to check on him, then redistributed the duties." "So do that." He did. The guy had car trouble. Miller sent someone to pick him up. The crew respected him for it. That small victory became a turning point. 6 months later, Miller's wife let him take the kids for a weekend. He called me from a campground, his voice lighter than I'd ever heard it. "My daughter caught her first fish. We're cooking it over the fire tonight." That's when I realized this wasn't just about helping veterans. It was about healing families, about stopping the war from claiming another generation. Sarah and I started couples workshops. We'd sit with veterans and their spouses, facilitating conversations that should have happened years earlier. I remember one wife, Linda, staring at her husband, a former medic. "You check all the doors and windows 3 times every night," she said, not unkindly. "But you haven't looked me in the eye since you got back." The room was silent. Then the medic, Joe, whispered, "I'm afraid if I look at you, you'll see what I've seen." It was the first honest thing he'd said in months. Linda reached for his hand. "I don't need to see it. I just need to see you." That moment, raw, uncomfortable, real, was more powerful than any therapy session. We weren't just teaching skills, we were creating space for truth. Liam started joining us for community outreach events. At first, he'd just hand out flyers. Then he began talking to other military kids. "Your dad isn't mad at you," he told one quiet boy whose father had severe PTSD. "He's mad at the war. It's stuck inside him." The boy looked up. "How do you know?" "Because my dad had it too. He got better. Yours can too." Hearing my son offer hope to another child, that was my new Bronze Star. My new Medal of Honor. Last spring, we expanded, bought a small ranch outside town with donated funds. We called it The Outpost. No therapy couches, just horses to groom, fences to mend, gardens to tend. Veterans came often reluctant. They'd stand awkwardly at first, unsure what to do with hands that once held rifles. Then they'd be given a task. Fix this gate, feed that chicken, help train this rescue dog. And something would ease. One former sniper who hadn't slept through the night in years found peace brushing an old horse named Duke. "He's got scars too," the sniper told me, showing me Duke's old injury. "But he's still standing." "So are you," I said. He nodded, tears in his eyes. "Yeah, I guess I am." That's the thing about healing. It doesn't always look like healing. Sometimes it looks like a man quietly brushing a horse. Sometimes it looks like a wife holding her husband's hand while he trembles. Sometimes it looks like a son forgiving his father for missed school plays. My own father, a Vietnam vet who never talked about his war, visited the outpost last fall. He'd been distant my whole life, a stern, silent man who showed love through provision, not presence. He walked the property, watching veterans working with animals, others building picnic tables, some just sitting quietly by the pond. At the end of the day, he put a hand on my shoulder, a gesture so rare it felt monumental. "You're doing what I couldn't," he said, his voice thick. "You're breaking the cycle." For the first time, I saw not the stern father, but the young soldier he'd once been, carrying his own ghosts, not knowing how to put them down. "You did the best you could," I told him. He shook his head. It wasn't enough, but this... He looked around at the laughter near the chicken coop, the quiet conversation by the garden. "This is enough. This is more than enough." That night, Liam asked me, "Grandpa seems different." "He is," I said. "Sometimes seeing someone else heal helps us heal too." Liam thought about that. "Do you think I'll have to heal from anything?" "Probably," I said honestly. "Life leaves marks on everyone, but you'll know how, because you've seen it done." He hugged me then, a quick, fierce hug of a teenager trying not to need it, but needing it anyway. And I realized this is the legacy. Not the medals in their cases, not the rank I once held, but this, a son who knows healing is possible. Veterans who learn to live again, families that reunite. The war took things from me. Time with my son, peace of mind, parts of my soul. But it also gave me this, a purpose deeper than any mission objective. A understanding that true victory isn't about defeating an enemy, but about redeeming what was lost. And that sometimes the most strategic retreat is the one where you retreat from who you were to become who you're meant to be. If you're watching this and carrying your own battles, military or otherwise, know that your war doesn't have to define you. Your breaking can become your making, your pain can become your purpose. But you have to choose it. Every day, you have to answer the hard question. Show up when you want to hide. Love when it feels too risky. That's the real service after service. That's the mission that never ends. Hit subscribe if you're on that mission too. Comment, "Still fighting" if you're in the struggle, or "Still standing" if you've come through. And share this. Because somewhere, someone needs to hear that after the battle comes the blessing, after the wound comes the wisdom, and after the soldier comes the human being stronger at the broken places.